Welcome to Finca Cortesin, home of so many great golf championships over the years, from the Volvo Masters, the match play, all the way to, in some 307 days, we have the Solheim Cup. So the best players from the US against the best players of the ladies European team. They'll go head to head at this championship golf course. Finca Cortesin, it's a beautiful place, a real 5-star luxury resort, but don't be fooled by its beauty, because underneath it, it's deadly. It's a real championship golf course with teeth. So many holes that can bite you, so many risk-reward holes, very tricky greens that have, I think, so many questions for the players, whether it's you're chipping around the greens, whether you're putting on the greens. You've really got to be in absolutely prime A mode to perform your best. Over the years, I think we've seen traditionally that an over par score has always taken the spoils, not surprisingly. So stay tuned, let's see what our golfers can do in this championship. Third hole at Finca Cortesin, par 5. This is the first of our feature holes. Really good risk-reward par 5. Fairly reachable, especially with the wind that's helping today from the north. And as you can see, if we're able to turn the camera around, it might be a little bit windy, so apologise if the sound gets a little bit off. As you can see, all of the green and the layup area is very much protected by this water feature and water hazard here. As you can see, the fairway really narrows in, and then you're coming into a very narrow green, which at its widest is only 16 paces wide. On one side, you can see you've got some runoffs going to the water. On the other side, you've got some real big fall-offs, tricky bunker, which is again with the green going away from you. So it's a hole which definitely entices you to go for it in 2. But I think if you're all 3 days, if you're walking off here with 3 5s, you're going to be a happy golfer. This is the 4th hole at Finca Cortesin. This is a great little risk-reward par 4. So for the gents on the competition tees, you're looking at a 250 metre hole. For the ladies, a little bit closer, 220. So we're on the ladies' tee box here. As you can see, the green is very much protected by the water hazard that's in front and lateral, so very much to the side. And then this small little fairway will snake almost kind of from right to left, going around the water, giving you really 2 questions. Do you want to lay up as the player, or do you want to take on the water, go for the green, and hopefully putt for an eagle? Over the years, well, as you can imagine, we've seen everything. We've seen players such as Nicholas Colsaerts in the World Match Play when he won, playing against Graham McDowell. It's an amazing 3-wood, carries it into the centre of the green, using his incredible length, distance and ball striking skills. And then McDowell follows him up with a driver and puts it into the water. So, as you can imagine, a little bit wider, a little bit more room down the right. That's probably the smart play, I would say, over all 3 days in a tournament of our level that you're going to play in. But if you do have that really controlled right to left draw, it might be worth taking it on. Ninth hole at Finca Cortesin. On the card, it looks like a fairly short par 4. 311 for the boys, 250 for the girls, that's meters, and a fairly generous fairway. Yes, there's a few bunkers, fairway bunkers dotted around, but overall here there's a lot of space. So you're going to be left with some sort of short iron into the green, some kind of wedge, but don't be fooled. This green in certain places is only 11 yards wide, 11 paces wide. Very, very narrow green with runoffs on both sides, some heavy slopes. You don't have to do much wrong. Watch this. Bit of downwind action, just the ball's rolling, and now that's gone. Another 30, 40 yards down a slope in the typical snaggy, wiry Bermuda rough. and then from there you're now faced with the shot with the green way above you, and then a similar proposition which is now the other side of the green, which can leave players almost like playing tennis across this very tricky par 4. Finally, there's a bit of a respite. This is the 14th hole at Finca Cortesin, and it's almost a par 3, but I say that with caution. So measuring 275 for the guys, 211 for the ladies. It's a very reachable par 4, especially when you've got this north wind as we have today. Again, fairly generous here in the landing zone if you want to land it short and just chip it on. You do have some danger down the right and some danger down the left. And as you'd expect, the front of the green is nicely protected here by these trademark bunkers that we have at Finca Cortesin. There are the odd generous little gaps here that you could run your ball through. And a fairly generous green, not too difficult. Yes, you've got some slope on here. You've got 2 or 3 green complexes, but overall this is a hole where you should be looking to make a score. '15th hole at Finca Cortesin, 414 meters. This is a tricky hole. You're tested in all 3 stages: off the tee, shot into the green, and on the green itself. Let's start with the tee shot. Tee shot, we're going uphill. We're having to go over this ravine, and it's up to the player now to decide how greedy they want to be. How much of the corner do they want to cut to now leave themselves a shorter second shot into the green? If obviously you get too greedy, you're not going to carry the barranco or the ravine that's in front of us. And then actually beyond that, just for an extra portion of cheese, you've got some really gnarly deep bunkers which will leave you no chance to reach the green from there. So let's drive up to the fairway and take a look at the second shot. So hopefully you haven't got too greedy off the tee and you haven't found yourself in one of these 5 nasty bunkers which really do span almost the entirety of the left side of the fairway. If you hit the good one, however, into the fairway, this is where you'll find yourself typically about 160 meters left to the green, which is now up above you, and you can just now about get sight of it. And there's a tremendously wicked right to left slope, so not just having to negotiate the slopes here on the fairway, which are quite considerable. I don't know if the camera picks these up. So again, you're faced with the ball above your feet, even an upslope. Obviously, as we know, we're going to have wind here by and large as standard conditions at Finca Cortesin. Now with the green up above you and a tremendous slope to negotiate, your iron play really has to be top dollar. On the 15th green, it's unbelievably tough, not just because of the slope, but because again the potential miss. Anything left, you can see your ball is gone into the trees, and anything right, you're now faced with the shot obviously back down the slope. And bearing in mind your ability to control the ball is compromised because you're playing from a right to left slope with a bit of an upslope, so it's always going to promote a hefty draw shot. So just come with me, I'll give you a little idea of what the slopes are, or maybe how to use the slopes that the clever golfer would do. So a couple of years ago in our tournament here, we saw a lot of players just short, maybe either the bunker on the fairway, and they would look at the flag and they would play a standard shot to the flag. That's really not the way to do it. So if you're really smart and you can work out the conundrum that is Finca Cortesin, you can be in a spot like this. Sounds crazy, but from the bunker you might be better to play the ball up here, big landing area, and now just let the contours do the work for you. Just watch how that plays out. So again, almost Augusta-esque. Understand the incredible slopes that are in play, and I think you'll do fairly well around this golf course. Okay, so this is what we saw 2 years ago. A lot of players in the front bunker, or maybe short of the green. Flag was somewhere around about here. North wind, it was stronger, so the wind was really now pushing this direction. So players were going straight for the flag, classic shot. And you can see now where the ball goes. So I played that as a nice little soft, kind of like high flighted hand throw. And there's no wind today, so that ball's not being affected at all. And it's not stopped yet neither. But with the wind, people were finishing in the bunker, off the green, chipping it back, playing table tennis. So we saw a lot of players a couple of years ago in the tournament when we had the wind very much in this kind of northerly direction, so playing down and off the right as you play this hole. So either players were from the bunker, chipping it out of the rough, or just from the fairway, going straight at the flag, as opposed to maybe now looking to land the ball in these kind of nice sort of higher areas, hopefully. Please, Mr. Sprinkler Heads. And now you can use these slopes. Even that as a worst case was better than being in the bunker. And if I'd have got that a little bit better, you can see now just how you can utilize these slopes to your advantage. So again, make sure your practice rounds are really well thought through to understand what slopes are going to help you and what slopes are going to hurt you. The home hole at Finca Cortesin, par 5, a definite birdie chance, but again with some warnings. Off the tee, fairly generous if you get your ball shaping from right to left, and if you can get the ball going over the crest of this hill, you can gain a few extra yards. And then you can see the second shot that you're now faced with, a little bit downhill, quite narrow either side, so there's not that much room to miss. So again, if you're not quite respecting your dispersion pattern and you're going into this northerly wind when the ball can disperse even more, you can come off with a very high number. If you're very on it and you're Tiger Woods like with your 2-iron and you can laser an iron in there, you might have a nice finish. So I hope you've enjoyed our feature videos here at the fabulous Finca Cortesin golf course. Make sure, of course, that you subscribe and follow us on Instagram. That's AAA Golf Series. Again, I think our young players are going to have a tremendous experience at a championship golf course. Scores are always going to be a little bit higher than usual. That's the nature of the beast. But nonetheless, I think the chance to play this majestic course is going to be something that players are going to treasure for the rest of their lives. And I think certainly with the likes of the Solheim Cup coming up, it's going to be really relatable when they watch these superstars play. So great learning, great competitive experience. Hopefully we'll see you online during the tournament coverage.